Welcome into the Paul Kuharsky podcast. I'm Paul Kuharsky of paulkuharsky.com here at Lucas Oil Stadium. Last around. Actually, there might be one guy left from Nashville downstairs finishing things up. Brutal game for the Titans, which has come to be expected. Really a one-issue game in a lot of ways because there's one play that kind of represents what this team is, what it's become, who Mike McCoy is, what he's become. Really bad. I'm brought to you by Edley's Barbecue, best barbecue spot in and around Nashville. You need to go there. You need to eat there. You need to order in from there. They've got a great app. The delivery fee is minuscule compared to what you've gotten used to with DoorDash and Uber Eats and all of those places. So, get that on your phone and use it soon. Also brought to you by Brymac, which sponsors me on the road, commercial HVAC services. Check them out. I will put their link in the chat over here. Appreciate you guys coming in. I know there's been better football to watch today than the Titans. Mike McCoy. There you go, Mike S. I think McCoy pisses me off more than Callahan did. I think that's a fair thing to say because you knew what Callahan was and you expected different from McCoy. And it's not different. He's the same. I said, why not? I asked him today, why not be different from Brian? It's Brian. Why not be different from Callahan instead of the same? And he said, I'm me. I'm Mike. Well, Mike is a lot like Brian. When Mike Mularkey took over for Ken Wisenhunt, he was different. And interim coaches are supposed to be different. And they've got a really carbon copy, but he's not a carbon copy in that he doesn't explain himself very well. He's not interested in being at the podium. He's cliched. He can't explain himself. He might be more conservative here. Bustin' Diamond says McCoy might be more conservative than Callahan. Look, here's the thinking on this punt, right? It's a 4th and 3 from the 32, and you're down 10. So even if you pin them inside the 5, this is one of the 2 best offenses in the NFL with the Colts. What's your rationale? You're going to stop them? Well, you might stop them, but you're going to stand toe-to-toe with them the rest of the game? You're not going to stand toe-to-toe with them the rest of the game. It's an unrealistic expectation of what your team is going to do for the rest of the game. This is the problem. An unrealistic expectation. Your team has been outscored coming into this game 48-16 in the third quarter. And you think, let's punt it away and play defense. Through the first half, you'd given up 56% third down conversion rate, so you're not playing any kind of spectacular third down defense. You'd given up 14 first downs and 11.2 yards per catch and 9 yards a carry to Jonathan Taylor. And you say, let's play a field position game with the NFL's number 1 yardage offense that scored the most offensive touchdowns in the league with the league's most productive running back. Now, where is the logic in that? What sense does that make, right? So if you go for it there, we're not going to kill you if you don't make it. Now it goes awry. Now the punt goes in the end zone. You only end up gaining 22 yards of field position. And he says, well, if I knew that Jonathan Taylor was going to run for an 80-yard touchdown, obviously hindsight would take me the other way. Well, you didn't know he's going to run for an 80-yard touchdown, but there are pretty good odds that they're going to drive the ball and score, and it's going to go from a 2-score game to a 3-score game. And the way you keep it from going to a 2-score game to a 3-score game is by doing everything you can to go down the field and score. And even if you hold them on that drive, 3 and outs, pretty unlikely, but even if you hold them on that drive, what about your football team and the history of this year's Tennessee Titans tells you that already down 10, you are going to hang with them? You've got to do what you can then to continue to stay in the game by scoring points. So work to get yourself at least in field goal range, get a field goal or a touchdown, but you've got to work to stay in contact with them. And if they come back and score a touchdown on you, whether it's an 80-yard run or whether it's a long drive or whether it's a field goal or a touchdown, it's just unrealistic for you to think, well, we'll just play defense. We'll just play defense. It's so incredibly frustrating. And I can only imagine where you guys are. There is a lot of blame, Harry James Clifford says, on the coaches, rightfully so. But these are the players our front office said were good enough to compete. I realize we're limited now, but man. Well, look, I agree. I mean, the roster sucks. Jeff Simmons is a big piece of things, and things would have been, you think, better with Jeffrey Simmons. L'Jarius Sneed obviously didn't pan out, and he wasn't playing either. But yeah, the roster's bad. I mean, I think we've come to terms with the roster. Now we're looking at, what you can do with the roster. And somebody here is saying McCoy is such a beta, and Callahan was a beta. Now, I don't want everything to go back to Vrabel, but Vrabel was an alpha, and they need an alpha. They need their next coach to be an alpha. Martin is not going to be mad at McCoy. That's why he's the interim coach. The coaching is not going to be any better than it was before. It got better when they hired Malarkey to replace Wisenhunt. I don't know that Denard Wilson's a beta. I don't know that Bones Fossil is a beta. Noah says Callahan was the leader who needed to go, but his assistants share his mindset and nothing will get better until they're gone. Obviously, roster has to improve too. I think it's reasonable to expect the interim to change things. And if you read what I wrote out of this game, I've got Skoronski, I've got Cedric Gray saying, yeah, I mean, a little more boldness would serve us well. And Cam saying, we need to be an aggressive team. So these guys are looking for that. They're thirsty for that. And they look to the guy with the coaching headset on, and he's not giving them any of that. That's a major organizational disservice. I think they had options that would give them at least a little bit of that. Wes Patrick, has there ever been an interim fired? No. Just fire McCoy tomorrow and get someone else. What does it matter at this point? They're not going to fire McCoy. AFC South teams trending up. I think the Jags were off today. Houston had a good win over San Francisco. Colts, obviously. Jonathan Taylor scored his 6th touchdown against the Titans in 2 games. 3 touchdowns and 3 touchdowns. Robert's curious about hamstring injuries. If you look around the league, lots of hamstring injuries are occurring. Are these guys just not training like they need to stay in game shape? Yeah, of course they're training. It's football. Guys get hurt. I mean, hamstrings are just one of a number of kind of injuries that happen. Just because soft tissue injuries happen doesn't mean that guys are not in shape. You can pull a hamstring in shape. Just kind of fluky. Cushenberry, I mean, what was that, a 4th down play that he got beat on so badly by DeForest Buckner? He's been a big disappointment. Big disappointment. Randall's thanking me for having to report on this subpar performance every week. I mean, it's my job. Ice hockey. I'm getting to the point of not caring anymore. Knew Callie was a bum when he wouldn't fire the special teams coach, but had some hope McCoy would inject anything else into the team, but just more of the same. Nicholas, I said, we have come to terms with the roster. I don't think people realize how bad it really is. I mean, I don't know how you're not realizing how bad it really is. There's nobody coming to save the roster. Kevin Winston, today he told some guys it was like his first preseason game today. So he's that far behind. Where's the roster good? Secondary's slow. Corners, Jalen Armour Davis. I mean, I don't know what they saw in Jalen Armour Davis. He's terrible. These receivers, Pittman, Downs, not terrific receivers, but efficient receivers who get the job done. Pierce, efficient receivers who get the job done, and certainly get them done against Titans caliber corners. Broadcast mentioned how they're being conservative to help develop Ward. I think not allowing him to play a critical 4th and 3 would be more beneficial. Yeah, I agree. I mean, being this conservative is not helping Ward, I don't think. We need to clean house, Joe K said. See, excuse me, we have this conversation like there's no stability and they fire and fire and fire, and now you want more people fired. I don't know how firing Mark Borgonzi helps this thing. He had a good draft class. I like Cam Ward. Oladejo's a question mark. I think Winston's promising. I think the 3 4th rounders in DK and Helm and Isle Manor all look good. I think you should like those guys. And you don't want another general manager who doesn't like his guys the way he doesn't like Carthon's guys. You got to stop that. Borgonzi's not getting fired, and he absolutely should not be fired. Absolutely should not be fired. I can't repeat it enough. RP really wants answers as to why Brownlee was traded. Seems like we could use him right now. Armour Davis has not been the answer. Hi. I'm fine. I will clean this all up after I'm finished. Is that all right? Look, the answers are out on Brownlee. They didn't like him in the culture. He was late to meetings. He wasn't necessarily straight with them about the injuries. They didn't like him as a culture guy. And they sacrificed a guy who can play, certainly can play nickel, because of that, to send a message and to set the tone culture-wise. It doesn't look like a great move based on his ability to play and contribute for the Jets and based on who they had to replace him. I don't know that the Titans are in the driver's seat for pick number 1. Cincinnati collapse help. Yeah, but I think the Jets are still in line for number 1 pick. It's very hard to project because strength of schedule is such a tiebreaker, and you don't know what strength of schedule is. I'm not in the bar, by the way. I am in the stadium. I'm in a club. I'm in a, what am I in? A suite. Robert says we need to realize that we had 2 or 3 drafts in a row prior to this one that absolutely sucked. You can't have that. Borgonzi needs time. Everything needs time. Nothing's going to get better overnight. Some teams get better overnight. It's unlikely to be this team. Could they be last year's Washington Commanders? Conceivably, but unlikely. Where am I here? Sorry. Only move Borgonzi has made that is a complete whiff is extending Hooker, in your opinion. Way more pros than cons for him very early on. They need to let him do his job. I agree with that. Cody Barton doesn't look great. The Hooker extension certainly doesn't look great. They need to do what Floyd Reese did when he took over as GM, replace the medical staff. The injury issues have been going on for too long. I mean, the injury issues in Nashville, I don't understand how people can't come to terms with the fact that NFL players get hurt. Look at any roster in the league. Everybody's got players who are hurt. Everybody. Like if you're expecting everybody to be healthy every week, it's unrealistic. Now, it's good that Simmons isn't like a season-ending injury because teams lose guys, big-time guys, to season-ending injuries. Did you see what happened to Cam Scatterboo? Stuff like that happens in the NFL. Everybody has injuries. And for some reason, you guys think the Titans trainers are responsible for guys pulling muscles and getting hurt. It's just not how it works. And the Titans have changed. They changed their head medical guy, retired last year. They promoted the guy who was under him, but that's a major change. They changed their strength and conditioning coach after Vrabel to a new guy. So there's been major turnover in those two departments. I know it's revisionist history to ask, but should the Titans organization have traded Cam for all those picks, knowing the roster was most likely going to be really bad? No. I mean, if you believe in Cam Ward, and I believe in him more now, really, than I did at the beginning, which is odd to say considering how poorly he's played. You get the quarterback when you can get the quarterback, and you build things up around him. The Bengals didn't wait on Joe Burrow because they were bad. The Bills didn't wait on Josh Allen to get stuff around him. You get the quarterback when you can get the quarterback. The Colts weren't good when they got Peyton Manning. I'm not saying he's Peyton Manning or Joe Burrow, but you don't wait and build the team up around him. I used to think that in some respects. Ward was 22 for 38, so not enough completions. 4 sacks, a touchdown, an interception, 76.5. He ran, twice for 4 yards. Not good, not terrible. I mean, he's had worse games. Threw for 259 yards. Get some of those yards in the fourth quarter when they're down. But, I mean, he wasn't an enormous problem today. The defense was an enormous problem. He didn't turn the ball over, Ward, outside of an interception on a 4th down in the end zone where, he had to try. At least he tried, unlike his coach. Titans have pick number 3 right now, according to NFL Tankathon, due to strength of schedule. But my question about NFL Tankathon is do they project strength of schedule out? Are they counting the strength of schedule of the teams the Titans haven't yet played? And then again, all of those teams have all of these games left to play. So there's an awful lot to go. My sense is that, I asked very clearly about the chance of Cody Barton coming out of the lineup, and there's no chance as of last week for James Williams to replace Cody Barton. Cody Barton's making significant money for that position in the Titans framework. Robert, let's get to this during the week about other teams in the running for the top. Any chance Brinker's gone? I don't think Brinker has been as damaging to personnel as people seem to think he is. There's a chance he could be gone. Someone needs to be held accountable for this Callahan debacle. Yeah, Amy Adams Strunk, first and foremost, makes these hires. David says, I still think the offense looked better, but good grief, we have nobody that can make big plays. Tajay once. The Jets and the Dolphins won today, increasing the Titans getting the number 1 pick, which they could trade down to get more picks, which means more talent, which this team needs badly. It would be wonderful if the Titans got the 1st or 2nd pick, could trade out of there for a package. Absolutely. I'll let somebody else tout me. Kenny Gore thanks me for holding their feet to the fire on this BS weak play calling, lack of any testicular fortitude. Keep it up. We appreciate it. You're welcome. Doing what I do. Cam Ward, Noah says, has awful coaching, poor protection, lack of top-tier weapons, and we've got people jumping ship. It's ridiculous. Well, I mean, people are entitled to root for who they want to root for. Hooker extension made sense at the time. No idea he would be so bad this year. The thing that troubles me about Amani, who I like a great deal, is that he's not being very self-aware about this. I saw the Steelers uniforms, just awful. But they wore this stuff back in the day, and they're bringing back their stuff. What's the latest on Khalil Mullings? I'm not sure, but I don't think he's going to be anywhere that saves anything. Can't be 3 seasons away. Aries said we need to accept that this team is about 3 seasons away from being competitive. Can't be 3 seasons away from being competitive. 2 is permissible. 3 is not permissible. Have a lot of holes that need to be addressed. Players getting older, and some of the new guys need time to grow. Not that much time. Not 3 seasons of time. Yeah, look, Curtis is talking about the pick. Last year, you used the pick for the quarterback who you think's a generational guy. Now you give him time to show you what he is. Doesn't have to be generational. Has to be a good starter for you for at least a second contract. Now, if you get that high pick again, you trade it like they did when they had 2 high picks in a row with Mariota and the trade, and you get everything that you can. Charles Wagner said Bo Hardegree's play calling showed he doesn't give a fuck about winning or giving the fans anything worthy of watching. I was disgusted to be a fan today. Amy Adams Strunk should be ashamed. I don't know if Amy Adams Strunk feels much shame. Calvin Ridley is the highest paid player on the roster. Nick says that doesn't make much sense. Can it be fixed? It could be cut after this year. You take a certain salary cap dent, and that's it. Amy owns the team, so she's hiring unless she backs off, which I've proposed. She needs to let Mike Borgonzi hire this next coach, come in, meet him for a half an hour over coffee, decide, yes, Mike, good, shake hands, say congratulations, get the hell out. That's the best case scenario. Will that happen? I doubt it. Today was the first time, Ben says, where it seemed like Cam turned on the coaching staff. He might seem beyond annoyed with the timidness. Yeah, the tone wasn't really turn on the coaching staff tone. When was the last time Amy answered questions from the media? It was before the press conference introducing Rand Carthon. She spoke at that press conference, but she did not take questions. So it was longer ago than that. Quarterback-friendly head coach a must. Arthur Smith, Mike McCarthy, Cliff Kingsbury. Definitely the case. Could hire a defensive head coach and have him hire a very quarterback-friendly offensive coordinator. Noah, I didn't notice Cam's arm slot today. Says Cam's insistence on dropping his arm slot we talked about last week. I thought he was much better at that today. That's good if that's the case. Paul, with the missed pass to Isle Manor, it seemed obvious that he slowed down his route. Cam hasn't been perfect, but I keep hearing this giant misses from Cam. When you watch it back, it's a wide receiver issue. Cam took the blame for his throw, said he needed to make a more direct throw. Isle Manor slowed in adjusting to the throw, but it was overthrown ball. Unquestionably an overthrown ball. That's part of why he slowed as he was adjusting to it. Yeah, they just have to make a better connection there. Partly on both of them. Why, Robert says that Daniel Jones suddenly looked like an MVP and the Giants were booing him off the field. It truly is a wild turn of events. Scheme, scheme, scheme. Steichen has a very good scheme, and now he's got a quarterback who's capable of running it. Dom says both head coaches have consistently stunted the potential growth Brinker, Borgonzi have been searching for, shying away from important situational experience for rookies, especially Cam, to jump into the fire. Yeah, I don't think it makes a lot of sense at all. A good quarterback, Nick says, or an elite defense are the only two ways to win consistently in the NFL. Yeah, ideally you have both. Tennessee needs to go get A.J. Brown back next season. There's a lot of laughing emojis there. I think A.J. Brown is a real top-flight malcontent now. I don't know that anybody wants him. When will they fire Chad Brinker? Broderick asks. I mean, if they fire him, it'll be after the season. I don't know that he's getting fired. I don't know that firing him. I mean, he's in charge of Mike Borgonzi. He hired Mike Borgonzi, who seems pretty good to me. So I don't know what outside of getting your getting some blood or whatever, revenge. I don't know what is Chad Brinker. I mean, he's going to have a hand in the new coach, I suppose. I think the quality of this quarterback class can be argued, Aries. And I think quarterbacks are going to be drafted high, whether they're great or not. People need quarterbacks. They're going to go get quarterbacks. If Amy Adams Strunk doesn't feel shame, what does she feel? I don't know. I haven't talked to her in a long, long time. I mean, I think she's embarrassed by what they're doing. I do, but I don't think she has a clue as to how to fix it. This is a good point about Amy from Nick. Amy is a pro at hiring people who tell her what she wants to hear. I do not, Curtis, think that Tajay Spears is a running back one. Will we see him as a running back one? I think that we should see Spears and Pollard, close to 50-50 split on carries for the remainder of the season. Gamer says we're stuck with Cam Ward for at least 2 years, likely 3. This sucks. Cam Ward's got the potential to be very good. Needs the right coach. A lot of good in Cam Ward. It's way too early to give up on him. I think you're silly if you're giving up on him. I mean, this Sark thing is, don't know how solid it is, Ryan. Thoughts on Sark being interested in the head coaching job? I don't know if it's to be believed or not. I could see Sark certainly wanting in the NFL. He's got some NFL experience, not as much as you'd necessarily like. So we'll see what happens with him. I don't know that I'd want him as a Titans hire. I want more NFL experience in the next head coach. Kenny says, here's his issue with many people screaming Cam's a bust. 90%, including Stillman, who some reason has to be mentioned here, wanted Darnold, who took like 6 years to develop, yet won't give Cam 8 games to develop. Makes zero sense. I agree with that. Is the new stadium just a colossal distraction? Like the executives just care about the stadium and didn't focus fully on the team building. Mike Borgonzi's a personnel guy. I don't know if he's been to the new stadium. He has no involvement with the new stadium. Chad Brinker doesn't really either. So Burke Nihill over on the business side has a lot to do with the new stadium, but he doesn't have anything to do with football. So no, I don't think that's the case at all. Curtis says Cam will be fine, but I don't think he's a top 5 quarterback. I don't either, but I don't think he needs to be a top 5 quarterback. I mean, it would have been great if they had a chance with that number 1 pick to get a top 5 quarterback. I'm fine with them taking the best quarterback in that class. And if it turns out to be excuse me, a top 12 quarterback, that's fine. If you have a top 12 quarterback, you can be a good NFL team that's a regular playoff contender. Need far more freebie completions to playmakers in this offense, says Dom. Chig with the ball in his hands is explosive, yet he never seems to get schematic designs intentionally. I agree with that. I think Chig is underused. Underused as a regular feature. It doesn't make much sense. No, Pat says the stadium has to do with getting a Super Bowl, has nothing to do with rewarding the team and fans. What do you mean rewarding the team? I mean, the team gets to play in a superior facility to what it's been playing in. That's a reward for the team. Yeah. And the fans get to watch the team in a far superior facility. So they pay a higher price, but they get a much better experience. So, of course, it's a better deal. Marcus says, Daniel Jones is not a top 5 quarterback, but he looks like one with the Colts. They have a lot of talent around him. And also their wide receiving talent isn't great. I talked about this earlier. Pittman and Pierce. I think the Colts press corps was talking about they don't have a 100-yard game from a receiver this year, I don't think. You guys would be going ape shit in that circumstance. But they're a very good team with a very good run game. And it's working. It's working for them. It's working great for them. So can't complain. I'm not going to bring up Restrepo, but I see so many of you that think he would have, with the 3 or 4 offensive snaps that he would have gotten instead of Prochet or Kinsey that got that many snaps, somehow made a massive difference. Their running back looks like prime Henry with the Titans. He does. Yeah. Jonathan Taylor's terrific. I cannot, Charles, give you a good explanation for why the interim coach won't go for a 4th and 3 in the third quarter on the opponent's territory when they've got nothing to lose. I wrote a column about it. You should read it. Wrote a column about how there's no good explanation for it, and it's ridiculous. Dixie says Pittman and Pierce were both high second-round picks, and Tyler Warren is a top 15 pick. So their pick status is what's important and not their production? Because none of them have a 100-yard game. So I'm talking about their production, not their pick status. So DK and Ioman are 4th-round picks. Are they not allowed to ultimately do what Pittman and Pierce are doing? Pittman, by the way, is going to be a free agent, and he'll be coveted because there are not a lot of good wide receiver free agents. And Warren's a top 15 pick. I'm not disagreeing with where they were picked. I'm saying none of them are having outrageously good offensive production in a very good offense. It's kind of offense by committee. Could be worse, Aries said. We could have drafted Shador. I don't think the Titans were ever considering drafting Shador, certainly not at number 1. Big John says his biggest disappointment with Cam is his complete and total lack of mobility. We knew he wasn't a runner coming out of college, but I expected him to occasionally be able to do something with his legs. This is something that was discussed this week about shouldn't he go a little bit more often? Shouldn't you call something for him a little bit more often? He ran twice today for 7 yards. It's just not really part of what he does on his own, and it's not part of what they're asking him to do. And I do think there could be more, and that they would be wise to ask him. No, he's not a runner, but he can run. And just a few called runs scattered in there, or he tends not to want to run. He runs to free himself up for an opportunity to throw, which is fine. But once in a while, when he runs to free himself up for an opportunity to throw, if he sees that there's some space there, go and get the 3, 4, 5 yards that are there that'll set you up for something. What's the deal with National Tight Ends Day? I've never heard of it for any position. Where did it come from? The tight ends created it. This is brilliant marketing. I think George Kittle was behind it, and the guys that put together the tight end university. I think it's kind of silly. Then the running backs decided that last week was National Running Back Day. I mean, I don't think any skill position that gets attention in fantasy football needs a day. But, I mean, if people are suckered into it, have at it. He said it's good to see the tight ends more involved today. Gunnar Helm had 3 targets for 2 catches for 23 yards. Chig, 5 targets, 4 catches, 53 yards. It's still, I mean, that's good. It's not bad. Gunnar had the touchdown. I'm surprised by those Chig numbers, but I think some of them came late. Chig seems to get some of his numbers late in Titans losses when things are pretty much settled and the defense is sitting back hoping to kill some time. Do I think the perception of a dysfunctional ownership will hurt landing a top candidate? Yeah. I mean, I think if you got the option to go somewhere else, but certainly ownership is not going to be a check mark in the Titans box. I haven't thought that for a long time, but things have gotten really bad here in terms of the lack of stability. I don't think Mike Vrabel would give a recommendation that was positive, and certainly Callahan wouldn't. And I think a candidate would call those 2 guys to talk about their experiences with ownership, whether you like Callahan or not, and whether you like Vrabel or not. Also, I don't know that many jobs are going to open up. What jobs are going to open up? I mean, New Orleans and the Jets are 2 of the worst teams in the league, and they've got first-year head coaches. Browns, I think, would be foolish to fire Kevin Stefanski, who I would put at the head of my list of people the Titans should hire if he became free. So, yeah, that's a good point here from Dom. It's an ancillary issue, but holy shit, the Titans still have a kicker issue. 0 confidence when Sly comes out onto the field. Consistently inconsistent. Reminds me of Randy Bullock before he left. It's not good. It's not good. Is Pollard cooked, or is it an offensive line issue? I think it's a little bit of both, but I'd rather see more Tajay Sharp and less Pollard. Pollard today averaged 4 yards a carry, but Pollard had 11 carries. Spears had 9 carries. Spears averaged 6.6. Pollard averaged 4. Pollard doesn't have a lot of juice. He just doesn't have a lot of juice. The last Saturday in December game at Nissan Stadium should be interesting between the Saints and the Titans. Loser might have first pick. That is a intriguing game. Excuse me. Why not some clever trick plays? They've run some trick plays that have really stalled things. So, yeah, they've run some trick plays that haven't worked. You're not remembering them because none of them worked. They don't want him to run. Aries said, I don't think the Titans want him to run. Be a pocket passer. You can be a pocket passer who occasionally escapes. It's not all one or the other. Like, be a pocket passer. Once in a while, take off. Be a pocket passer. Once in a while, get a call that goes. I mean, you don't have to be Josh Allen, and you don't have to be, Lamar Jackson, but you can bail yourself out once in a while. What is the constant infatuation with negative or run yard gains on every first down? Coaches love talking about not getting behind the sticks or second and third and long, yet they help facilitate it. Titans actually didn't do too bad on first down or runs, particularly early in this game. I don't know what this means, Scrappy. You'll be shocked if Tennessee gets 49ers head coach next season. Kyle Shanahan's not going to be available, so it would be a big shock to everybody. There's no way the Titans improved their roster by the trade deadline. They're not looking to bring players in. They're looking to send players out and get draft picks. I don't think they're going to do nearly as much as people expect there. Yeah, I mean, if the Titans are in a battle for a head coach, their tax situation helps. But the other team could simply, give them that much more, whatever the state income tax is in their state, and offset that very easily. Scrappy is very optimistic. Hopefully Tennessee can beat the Chargers next Sunday before the bye week. There is no reason to expect that. None. Do I think anything is going to happen during the Titans bye week with coaching? Titans fired their coach. There's nothing more that's going to happen with the coaching. Robert Saleh and Mike McDaniels after he is fired is what I want. Here's the question I have. Are we sure that Mike McDaniel sorry, I'm really struggling with the throat. Are we sure that Mike McDaniels is not getting another head coaching job? Pretty damn good quarterback guy. Are we sure? Latham looked better today. Chris said, looks like he's getting healthier. That's how it should go. Jalen Armour Davis is, in fact, bad. I don't even know what that Shanahan thing was about. 1.5 trades would be my over-under number. Here's Clint. Sorry. Here's Clint. I think the most confusing, frustrating thing about not going for it on 4th down was the 3rd and 3 call right before it. Pollard run for 3 yards. None of it makes sense. Yeah, I mean, it's really bad. That whole sequence was just really bad. Harry says that we got memes out of Levis running the ball, and maybe that's why they're not running the ball with Cam. You can't shoehorn Cam into Levis situation. Cam is Cam. Why is Simmons untouchable? Feel like he should be the biggest trade piece. We're 2 years from competing. I mean, he's the only legitimate blue chip player they have. I can understand not wanting to deal the one really good player you have. Thoughts on Eddie George's comments? I think it's hard to set that team back 10 years. I think 3 of those years have already happened. And I think it's hard to set a team back 7 years. But I like his outspokenness. And I like that that comment has people saying, well, that takes him out of the running for Titans coach, because he never should have been considered a possibility as a Titans coach given his inexperience at a level that would allow him to come here and have any success. James Pirtle says, with the way this roster future looks, do I think it would be better to re-sign some of the players to hold something rather than trying to get better and fill positions at the same time? I mean, I do think it's hard to, if they're not planning on re-signing McCreary or Chig, it sure would be better to get something for them now, whatever you could get for them. But if you're letting McCreary go and you create another need and you don't have additional draft picks, if you're letting Chig go and you have another need and you're not getting additional draft picks, that hurts. McCreary is definitely a tradable asset, but again, you're going to be playing some really crappy cornerbacks. McCoy, Dom says, recently said he'd find out a lot about certain players either playing through injuries or acknowledging that they can't. Was an interesting comment by him. Are there whispers of those issues? I mean, I give guys the benefit of the doubt on injuries, generally speaking. Simmons is an outlier at his position. Remember the last time we traded a guy that good? Thing is, what the Titans need is a damn edge and a damn receiver and a damn cornerback. And all three of those positions are more valuable than a defensive tackle. So it would be great if their outlier at his position was at a more important position than defensive tackle. And I know defensive tackles have gotten more important and everybody talks about it, more of a straight line to the quarterback and all of that and disrupting the pocket. And that's fine. And he does that. That's great. I'd still rather have an edge personally. I'd still rather have a wide receiver. I'd still rather have a corner. What I think happens with Levis when he comes back, I think he gets traded before next year. I think he could have salvaged himself as a backup for the Titans this year. Maybe increased his value if he got a chance to play, though Cam's done a good job staying healthy. Rehabilitated his image a little bit of being a good guy, at least behind the scenes, and increased his value. I think his value would be low. Thoughts on Jonathan Taylor being 2 touchdowns away from having the most rushing TDs in franchise history by a player? Yeah, he's excellent, and he's doing a better job at staying healthy, which is very good. This is part of a conversation going on. A good coach knows Cam is better than he looks. A new stadium, I think there's more than we think. Diana Rossini said a few coaches reached out saying they would love the job. Yeah, well, coaches who aren't head coaches in the NFL want jobs as head coaches in the NFL. That doesn't mean they're coaches that you necessarily want. If the season ends today, would the Titans have the number 1 pick? No. All right, couple more. Ruben Bain is a fantastic player. Fantastic. And he would be very, very intriguing to be on the Titans. Kind of player that they certainly need. Unfortunately, they also need a big-time wide receiver and big-time cornerback, as we've been talking about. They need a lot. Dennis says that Cam looks great. Cam does not look great. That's just not true. Cam looks a little bit better. I could stay in this stadium all night, probably, Jason. How long teams allow me to hang out and do my chat before they kick me out? I'm not even in the press box. I'm on some random suite level. Nobody knows I'm here. I mean, some cleaning people came by a little earlier, but nobody really monitors such things at this stage. Edley's Barbecue is the place to eat in Nashville. You need to check it out. A lot of you are regulars. You need to go. A lot of you who aren't regulars, you need to go. If you haven't been, you have no idea what you're missing. It's the best place to eat in town, really. Great portions, great service, great hospitality, cold beverages, reasonable prices. And if you want to eat there, if you want to order in, they've got their own app and their own delivery service. It's fast and it's cheap. There's no reason you shouldn't be hopping on board that. Absolutely. Brymac, take care of all of your commercial services, HVAC and plumbing, facility maintenance, and the like. You can find information about them on my column that is up and running, which needs to be read by you. Head over there and take care of that. I will be on a football show with Braden Gall tomorrow on 440 Sports Network, which I am proud to be a part of, flying back early tomorrow morning to Indianapolis, from Indianapolis, because I hate to drive. and I am lucky enough to be able to do that. I've appreciated the conversation. I appreciate you guys coming. Don't block the box, and be sure, please, to lock your locks. Spread the word, pass the links. We'll be on Apple, Spotify, and iHeart soon. And for now, you could spread YouTube and Twitter. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night. Cheers.